this big, beautiful spending bill and the revisions that the Senate made. And a lot of it is worse than the House's.
Just to make sure we're on the same page about the bill that is currently in the Senate that will most likely be voted on today, Monday, June 30th. It is poised to cut $930 billion from Medicaid, which is reported to kick more than 17 million people off of their healthcare coverage.
Republicans have decided what they want to make happen, and it's very clear. It is not listening to their voters.
What up, my beautiful black people? Welcome to Black People Politics Network. I'm Mr. Red. Let's talk. Because while everyone's screaming about Trump, DEI, and culture wars, they're not paying attention to the one thing Republicans always do when they're in power. Steal from the poor, feed the rich. And guess what? They're doing it again. We got a bill that they're trying to pass through the Senate. We got a bill that flew through Congress that Republicans admitted that they didn't even read, but they're voting for it anyway. Why? Because the GOP doesn't care about governance. They care about control. And this bill is control on steroids. And if you're not rich, you will feel it. Let's strap in. Let's get after it.
They were trying to move forward with this budget without having any hearings. They were trying to put forth a budget that was apparently 1,200 or so pages long that nobody had time to read or analyze. In fact, it was Mike Johnson specifically who was saying these things over and over, and that's why Republicans were apparently stonewalling the process. But now we get here to the big ugly bill, and Republicans in the House and the Senate are not reading it, not holding hearings. They're not doing anything to understand what's in the bill. But I've said over and over and over again, right? Republicans are saying something in public, they're lying to you.
That's the part that kills me. This isn't about helping America. This is about owning the libs. They don't care that their own kids lose health care. They don't care that rural hospitals will shut down as long as they can say, we beat those damn Democrats. Y'all ever seen somebody flip the Monopoly board and call it a victory? That's the Republican Party in 2025. And don't let the military stuff fool you. This is a budget bomb, not a defense plan. And when it goes off, poof goes your Medicare.
This is the wealth transfer. This is the exchange. This is why this is important. Cutting $930 billion in Medicaid, which is the entirety of the Medicaid budget, not only has a direct impact on those who receive that aid, but there is a trickle-down effect on everyone who is getting insurance from their job, because the costs of premiums will go up, as will the cost of coverage at hospitals, because people who are covered by Medicaid won't suddenly stop being sick. They'll still need care. That care just might cost more across the board. And the justification for this cut of $930 billion in Medicaid, the entirety of its budget, is to make way for these $910 billion in corporate tax breaks.
You see the game now? They told you America's broke. They told you we couldn't afford to feed kids, pay teachers, or cover your grandma's insulin. Then turned around and handed the exact same amount to billionaire corporations. They don't want smaller government. They want a profitable one, just for the elite. And so if you voted for these clowns, sorry, but you helped grease the slide for the biggest bottom to the top wealth transfer in American history. This ain't trickle down, it's a fucking robbery, and MAGA helped open the door.
The Senate is currently debating over whether or not to pass the big, beautiful spending bill. Let me just say this right now. It's going to pass. Once it passes the Senate, it will go back to the House, where we know it will pass. You want to know why? Because the Dems are handicapped. Not because they're in the minority, but because we have 3 seats that are not filled because 3 of those Democrats passed away. So let's talk about it. Medicaid cuts. They increased Medicaid cuts. Now it's upwards to over $900 billion, more than the House bill. Also, just so we're clear, this also talks about rolling back clean energy, which is going to increase our electricity costs. The House bill was going to increase the deficit by $3.3 trillion. This current version of the bill will increase the deficit by another $1 trillion.
I told y'all years ago, before this red mask ever touched my face, Republicans would go after Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They don't believe in social safety nets. They believe in net worth. So here we are, and it's your money, your benefits, your services getting slashed so they can fund defense contractors, private prisons, and big oil profits. But MAGA's cheering because they think they're owning the liberals is worth their grandma losing health care. Y'all really let a reality show president make you cut your own oxygen mask.
The only things we have to worry about for now are the ICE and these Medicaid cuts, which don't go into effect until 2026. Here's what we have to do. Stop voting Republican. Matter of fact, stop voting centrist Democrat. Start voting Democratic Socialists. We have to get them all out of there. These people don't care about you. They're mostly boomers, 60, 70, 80-year-olds who don't care about anybody else but themselves. Because let's be real, they're doing this all for the rich, for these big companies that pay them behind closed doors. They tell them, hey, I'll give you a fat one if you give me more money. And they do it. So how's about we get those people out of there and we put people in there that will tax the rich?
Now look, if you think they'll stop here, you're fooling yourself. They already said they want to go after education next, then abortion rights, then voting access. And while they distract you with parades, ceasefires, TikTok bans, and woke military nonsense, they're gutting your future behind the scenes. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. They're not trying to govern. They're trying to rig the game permanently. And if this bill passes, they just moved their biggest piece on the board. Stay vigilant, stay engaged, stay revolutionary.